Welcome to another Driven Catalyst live stream. Today we are going to do some font matching and a follow-up on my branding pamphlet, my brandphlet, if you will, because that's finally done for now. So let me make sure I have everything set up correctly to show you, to screen share with you, and then we will get going. We started this project, this font matching project, on Thursday last week. And I had so much fun that I think we should just continue on, wrap it up a little bit. Because there were some fonts that I was going to see if I could try and get all the way to a perfect match, or as perfect as possible. So that's what we're going to be doing here today. I'm doing quite a bit of talking in the meantime, though, because this setup is being very slow as I try to make sure I can screen share correctly. Many apologies. While I do that too, I'm going to make sure that we have audio because it's appearing that we may not. So let's just get a hold of our audio too to make sure. One second. So sorry for the delay. This okay, so we have audio confirmed, which is always a win, a triumph in and of itself. My properties window to make sure that I am screen sharing correctly is taking an exorbitant amount of time. So I'm getting a little bit worried because that is the main point of this live stream, is to be able to show you all the to show you this. Okay, here we go. It appears we are almost up and running. If I could just get a handle of what year Adobe Illustrator I'm using. Adobe Illustrator 2025 is what we're going to be using today. Application capture. Restart capture, maybe? Or do I need to just... that's what's happening. Okay. Rookie mistake, but everything is figured out now. Let's just go ahead and transition, and here we are. So we looked at these three graphics on Thursday last week, and I font matched them. I was looking at this one afterwards because this is the match that I was pretty quick to say, I don't know if it's a total perfect match. Oh, it's not, though, actually, because of the exclamation point. But I was going to say, I looked at them a little bit more closely, and some of the detailing on the D that was initially what set me off or indicated to me that, okay, that's not a great match. I think I just was looking at it a little wrong. Ultimately, I want to try and match that today. I'm going to get as close as possible with this one. I think I did a pretty ridiculously good job of this one, if I do say so myself. So I guess we'll do finishing touches on it, since I just realized I didn't connect this little swoop. So I'm gonna use the pen tool. I think I tried to handwriting fix it last week, but I think it's gonna go more smoothly if I just use the pen tool. And then you see this tiny little discrepancy. I'm going to use the anchor point tool to round it out. And that should have done it. What I'm gonna do now is kind of drag it down and through. Ooh, I have a sneeze building. Hold on. All right, I successfully muted my own sneeze. Are we all impressed? I am. It would be way more impressive if I hadn't willfully peaked my audio right afterwards, just trying to get my levels reset. But what can you do? All in a day's work. This is not the best match. What I should be doing is meeting these two in the middle of sorts. Yeah. It ain't perfect, but it's damn close. So I'm actually gonna let that be. Oh, and these two are connected in the original too. We'll move that so the spacing is better. So as you can see, it's not perfect. But if you're just trying to match a vibe, it's pretty perfect. Although that O. Yeah, so the O loops up top instead of the bottom on this font, the original. But look how cute. Okay, so I would say I did a pretty good job of that. We didn't really touch this one. So before we get to trying to match this, I guess I'll come back in here. But I realized I kind of just jumped right into the deep end with the font matching stuff. Let me follow up with our brandphlet first. This is the finished branding guide, which is pretty fun and exciting. I completely overhauled it, I think, since you last have seen it. But so here we've got 2 different color palettes to work with. In both color palettes, these trio colors are kind of core to them both. I named them all cute little networking names. And then I have some guides for logo use for our logo mark and our logo mark and our word mark. And then these are our primary brand fonts for the website and all of that. These are suggested fonts for just other branding properties, whatever, other media properties, branding use cases. So that's where we ended up. I just figured I would follow up because I told you I would. So I'm ready to call this one done. Get it out of the way. And then we're going to come back down here and I'm going to see what I can do. 'Cause from my recollection, we were able to pretty much font match that lower font. I don't know what just happened. I'm going to see what I can do with this big beast of folk. Let's look at some of the letters though. The repeating F's make me believe that this may not even be a font, that it's some sort of handwritten or like paper cutout. But the matching stars kind of make me believe that maybe it is. Okay, so my approach to this would be, though, if we were looking for something similar to this, that's what I'm going to try to do with this one, is not do a true match, to kind of do a similar vibe. So I don't know that it makes the most sense to use the exact words for this project. But I guess I will, just so I can make sure I'm getting the right version of a similar feel. Okay, I would say this feels similar, and I am curious if... Okay, that's actually going to be my mission. I'm going to take this font and I'm going to try and make it more of a serif folky font. Because I think they have this similar paper cutout look and texture to them. And then I'm going to choose something different to make our poster about. I guess we could just do something that I may go through and do too. So we have our capital T and we have two different T's. I assume that applies for every letter. Or we have different, yeah. So each letter has two different almost weight options, which is cool. Let's just not use our brains too much. I tend to like the other O better, which is oh, I see. Dang it. It's making me use it. Let's see if there's different ampersands. No. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is create outlines. So this is no longer a very easily changeable font. These are now vector outlines. So let's keep the look. I'm going to get rid of this O. I don't know why. It just is ruining the vibe for me. So let's use that. Cool. Okay. What works for me about the way they have this laid out too is some of the emphasis. So I like that the thing is emphasized, like it's a feast first and foremost. Let me come back in here actually. Do we have a little e? Yeah, we do. Okay. Because I think I want to use that one. Let's create an outline of it and see. Maybe the F is the problem. I actually would wager we're using the right F. Okay, so that I'm actually gonna stick to what we have. Okay, feast of, although what if we swapped those? Although this clearly gives little f. So swapping those maybe doesn't make sense. So we're going to keep some of that. folk and joy. Another thing I'm noticing, so we're gonna squish some of the letters, I think, and then they're not all aligned, which I like a lot when fonts do. They're kind of folksy, for lack of a better word. I'm gonna make the F bigger since we're throwing caution to the wind the way we are, the way I've decided we are now. The E is too big. I made it too big. This S, I need to do something to that S. Okay. What I think I'm going to do is now, without even looking, start kind of adding character. Trying to this is not quite going how I expected. Okay, because I want to have some elements like this. What if I made that a little E? You know what? I'm actually gonna undo what I did to the stroke of that one and do this. Okay. And then I had this set to 3. That's what I liked. And then that can go up there. Okay, now this S, we have to do something to. I think it's a bit thick. I think it needs to look a bit more hand-drawn. That certainly didn't fix it, though. Let's see. It doesn't make sense for only that one to have some sort of tail. Like, am I crazy? That S just doesn't fit. This S does. More, at least. And then I think I need to make this T smaller. That helped. think we want to do one of these on this too. I think if this ended in something like that, that may work. That may be the way to kind of bulk some of these up. Okay. I have another idea. So I do think maybe Joy needs to have this a two-sided. And then I think why it would make sense if it had a little bit of a boot, whatever. Maybe K. Make this L taller. I'm gonna ask that y'all go ahead and trust the process on these, because I think this is a maximalist sort of approach to font, in that I'm gonna keep at it until it makes more sense. Let me just go ahead and widen that, because I have a plan. What if we did something like that? Okay, that's really working for me. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this whole thing and I'm going to rasterize it. And now I'm going to image trace it so that we're all simple again. Actually, I think in this context, we expand. And I'm going to keep the white parts. Because I think that may be interesting. Let me add a stroke though. No, that didn't go how I hoped. Okay, never mind. That's okay. Let's do this, and then we're gonna ungroup. And then now, see these like little stars? I like them. I'm going to play with a similar idea. So I'm gonna kind of draw stars, and then I think I'll draw a flower, right? So neither of these are all that cute. I think can all agree, right? These are not great. I am going to come in though and let's simplify the flower. Not too much though. And I'm going to no. Like kind of fix it. And then we'll simplify the star too. See how that goes? This literally feels like Booba and Kiki or whatever. If you know, you know. I don't know. That was like an internet trend where like, why can everything be categorized into these two like meaningless words, Booba and Kiki, and they basically describe like the essence of something, right? So like Kiki, what really it's getting at is like consonants versus long vowel type things, and how we already naturally kind of sort and associate things and their vibes with that for whatever reason. Who knows? The human brain is a wonder. So this just naturally kind of looks like, I mean, you can tell this is Kiki, this is Booba, obviously. Okay, so now what I'm going to do though is I'm going to take our shapes, and instead of incorporating them around the thing, hold on. Perfect. Look at that. I'm going to, once again, kind of shift things around a bit. Scale it down. Okay. I'm curious if anyone sees where this is going. So I'm going to have this variant, and I'm going to turn this around a little bit. Okay. Group them. Scale it down. The idea is to try and capture sort of the folksy, like ornate almost, but folksy. I don't actually know that I love that. I'm gonna keep it though, because I do think it would work. And I think it's a good example of ways to extend beyond inspiration. What I think I may also do is a little bit of this. I don't love that. Maybe I would like it better if it was this star. I actually hate that. Forget you saw anything. And then we put it all in the same color. Pretty cool. And then I think this over the filtered photo like that. So that's not a match, but I would say that's a pretty close vibe match if you're looking for something similar. And then this, the reason for the season. This is initially what I wanted to kind of match. The first thing I'm going to do is create outlines and then kind of start making it play by the rules that I want it to. Right, so we start doing stuff like that. And honestly, we're at 40 minutes, so this poor font match is going to continue to go unrequited. But I feel like what we accomplished today instead was kind of a fun substitute. So I hope you enjoyed it. That is our font follow-up. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow. Goodbye.